Welcome to the History Slam podcast from Activehistory.ca. Here's your host, Sean Graham.
Thank you, Adam. Welcome to the History Slam, everybody. I am Sean Graham, coming at you today nearly live. We are in Gatineau, Quebec, joined today for a very special, heartwarming edition of the History Slam with the man, the myth, the legend. Aaron Boyes is back.
I'm back yet again.
And the reason we're here today, Jeremy Garrett, welcome back to the show. You were on a couple years ago with the First World One crew when we did an episode. So welcome back.
And also with the fake news.
Oh yes, we can't forget the fake news show.
How could we forget
I always
fake news?
forget that we released the fake news episode. So Jeremy, you are going to be a father.
I am.
In a few short months. And Aaron, you are a father.
I am.
And a couple years ago, around the same time I think,
Just about, yeah.
we decided to name your child by using historically significant names.
We did.
And I feel as though we were unsuccessful in that endeavor.
Unfortunately, yes. I had to reach outside of our names that we had suggested and go with something entirely different.
Which is sad. So the baby's name is Elsa.
Elsa, Craig, something or other. Yeah, I don't know.
So we were unsuccessful. So we're trying again. And I've come up with a different strategy for you, Jeremy, because you and your wife claim to have names picked out.
We do?
Well, until today. So the point of this episode is to change your mind and to have people who are historically significant to Canada be the, not motivation, be the inspiration for your child.
Okay.
You seem skeptical.
No, I think this is a good idea. I mean, it'll be nice to stack them up to the names that we've picked out, both male and female. So
I think he needs to go in that with an open mind. My wife and I will name drop here, Megan, decided
Doesn't sound right.
No, I know. Sorry. Sorry
No.
to the more avid listeners. The person to whom I'm related to by marriage.
There it is.
And I had a discussion in which we both figured out, because we knew we were having a baby girl and we had a name picked out. It was set in stone. That's what we're doing it until about 2.5 months out. And she came home and said, "What do you think of the name Ellie?" And once I heard that name, I said, "That is the name of our child." And so every name that we had previously thought of out the window, and Elliot was, and Elliot is. So
now, is this before or after the podcast?
I don't recall.
'Cause, I mean, Ellie and Elsa, I mean...
So the podcast had no effect, is basically what he's saying. Now, the other thing, too, is that you and your wife, Susan, when I was talking to you a couple weeks ago, you said that, at least for the boys, I can't remember for the girls, that you have multiple names picked out because you want to wait to see the child before. Because, like, if you pick a name and then you look at the child, you're like, nope. Because then you have multiples picked out.
Yes, for both males and females.
Okay, so at the very least, my hope is that at the end of our time today, you will add another one to the list. So
That's all you can ask.
That's really all. I don't necessarily want to name your child, but I want to help you make a informed decision.
And I feel as though this will probably be the closest you will ever come to naming a child, Sean.
It's highly likely.
I think this is your chance.
It's very highly likely. I will continue to do this as my friends continue to have children. So one of the reasons we're here in Gatineau is that the two of you, of course, work in Gatineau. I have started a relationship with a branch of the federal government that prompts me to be here on a daily basis now.
That's probably the most creative way I've ever heard of being called a public servant.
So I've been working with the group that helps research stuff for the Historic Sites and Monuments Board of Canada, which designates people, places, and events as being of national historic significance. So I thought that last time when Aaron, you and I did this, we just picked anyone.
Yes.
So for this one, what I've done is I've gone through and looked at all the people who have been designated as nationally significant, and I've created 6 names for 6 for boys, or 12 total, 6 for boys, 6 for girls, but they're mashups. So I've selected 24 individuals and I've paired the names together to present to you as options for your child.
Sounds good. I'm
Okay.
looking forward to that.
All right, so now the mashups are, and you'll see, some of them are because the names themselves, I think, sound cool. Other ones are the two people together make a really interesting combo.
Okay.
So there's different rationale for each of them. And when I say mashups, I mean first name, middle name. There's no combo. There's no juror in here.
Okay. Yeah.
It's not like that.
Okay.
So it's not just stupid names.
Yeah.
Okay.
Although some of them are fun.
Okay.
So that's what I have. And because I don't know if you were going to hyphen the name, or I don't know if Susan has changed her name, I just put Garrett behind all of them.
Yeah.
Because the sound of that helps create the first two. So not knowing what the last name was going to be, I just presumptively picked Garrett. So that's what I've done.
Yeah, no, that's how it's going to be as well.
Okay. So do we want to start boys, girls? Does it matter?
I say
Yeah,
you give it to
Jeremy.
Jeremy.
You know what? Let's start with boys.
All right, so we're going to start with the boys. So let me flip over my sheet here. There are 700 people who have been designated as historically significant.
Wow.
By the Monuments Board. So, it took a while to go through this, but I'm, again, very pleased. So let's start with one that might seem obvious, but I think is really nice. So I'll give you the full name first that I have picked out. So the name is James Marquis Garrett. Of course, after James Wolfe and Marquis de Montcalm, because that's just a beautiful combo to have your children named after. So that's my first one. Any thoughts, gentlemen?
Now, is it a beautiful combo? I mean,
I think it's a historically significant combo.
Well, certainly
those two are matched together quite nicely.
or opposed to each other quite nicely as well. I'll
Well,
add in
yes,
there.
historically linked.
Okay, well, I can see historically linked. I can certainly see the name James for James Wolfe, a very strong name. I would be very happy with it. Lots of nicknames that can go along with it.
Yes.
And I mean, James was the winner of the Plains of Abraham, so...
That's why I put him first.
Well,
Also,
makes
you're
sense.
not Francophone, so I didn't think Marquis would really work well.
Well, actually, in my family, my mother's maiden name was Fournier, so there is some
Okay, there you
French
go.
in there.
Okay, doesn't really flow with Garrett though. I don't think as well.
No, it doesn't.
Marquis James Garrett. I think James Marquis Garrett works a little better.
It does.
Just in the flow.
But what about James the Marquis Garrett?
Oh.
Could be AKA.
Oh.
That gives you,
yeah.
that really hint of royalty and, a lot of generals back then, of course, knighted and whatnot. And so you've got the Marquis.
Right.
The
So what if you just
Marquis
went to
James,
What if you just
the
put
Marquis
duh?
of Garrett.
The Marquis of Garrett. That's not bad. That does have sort of a regal sound to it.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. So so this is not one that you're dismissing.
I'm not dismissing it, no. And I mean, it would also be a launching pad, a good start for...
The sheer fact that he didn't, flip the table over and run away saying, "This is stupid,"
Right?
is a sign.
So it's good, right? So we're
Yeah.
off to a good start. I think it's a good start. Historically significant, relevant, sounds pretty cool.
yeah.
Room for improvement, perhaps.
Certainly, yes.
As long as it's the Marquis of.
Yes.
Well, this is only to have me open my mind, look at new avenues as well. It doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to be happy with it, but it could open and make us think of new names, too.
Okay, good. All right. So the next one then. Let's go with the next one. Now I've written down, because some of these people you might not be familiar with. So I've written down who the people are in case we don't know. I think Montcalm and Wolfe.
Yeah.
We're all familiar with. I think most of our audience would be familiar with
Yes.
them as well. So this one I have. This is just a great sounding name. Decatur Boss Garrett.
Decatur
Boss.
Yeah.
Context.
Yes.
So that is Decatur is the middle name of C.D. Howe, Clarence Decatur Howe,
okay.
the minister of everything in the 1930s and 40s,
Yeah.
and Jim Boss, who was a indigenous leader from the Yukon.
Yep.
So I really like just boss. The word boss is pretty cool. Like it's boss.
The word itself is pretty cool, but I mean, imagine trying to send your kid to school as the boss.
The boss. I'm the boss. But that's why it's the middle name.
I could see that, but even
You
middle
don't
name...
want that to be the first name. Like you don't want Boss Garrett.
Well, but I mean, that's pretty much, that will be his name.
Exactly.
The boss. Period.
Yeah, that is the nickname.
Yeah.
So, but as a kid, you could be Deck, perhaps.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, and then, but your nickname is the boss. Like this is some like this could work for a girl. By the way, I think boss is a middle name for a girl works well too. Like if you're going to be an athlete, if you're an athlete, especially if you're a boxer.
The only
by
thing
the
is,
way-
though, I'm pretty sure if you name your child the boss, it precludes you from ever being a musician.
Yeah.
That's true, but it's not the boss.
It's just
It's
boss.
just boss.
I know. I'm afraid that someone, like, if you try to go into music and then you say, "Hey, I'm boss," and people are like, "No, you're not. Sit down."
Right, but but it's more like I'm using it more as an adjective than as a noun. So it's not like the boss, it's boss. So it's like, hey, that's a boss shirt, right? It's like more as an adjective, the describer.
Or that's a boss themselves, but
Right.
you'd mentioned that the nickname could be Deck. Well, then you have the unfortunate Deck the Boss.
Oh yeah, that's maybe not great.
Yeah, no.
No.
See, this is why we have these things.
Yeah, this is why we talk them out.
Exactly.
Focus group.
Exactly.
Okay, so maybe not a hit.
I think that one goes in the no pile.
Okay. Well, how about this one? It's another one with bosses involved. So let me try another one. Studholme Boss Garrett.
You seem to really like your boss names.
Yeah. So this one, it's a different boss, by the way. So Alexander Boss Gibson, who was a lumber and railway baron in the Maritimes, and also Guilfrid Studholme, who built Fort Howe in 1777. So Studholme, I think that just sounds like it seems like a very masculine name.
I think Studholme would be a great middle name.
I agreed.
I don't know why, but yeah, that kind of pops out more as a middle name
Not
than
as
it
a-
would as
not
a
as a
first
first
name.
name?
No.
Okay, but so
I'm not dismissing the name itself. I just think maybe the word, but I don't think how you go boss as a first name.
okay. What if we combine then? What if we went Decatur, Studholme, Garrett?
That's a strong name.
I'm still not convinced in the Decatur name.
You're not big on the Decatur?
I'm not.
No.
No, that's a
What
very
about
strong
Clarence? If we want to use CD Howe,
name. No,
Clarence.
see, I'm out on Clarence. Decatur, yes. Clarence,
Wait,
no.
what about Alexander? Okay, so Alexander Boss Gibson is the first in this combo.
Yeah.
So if we still wanted to combine those two individuals, it'd be Alexander Studholme Garrett.
That's a strong name there. I'm not opposed to Alexander.
I'm running through trying to think of any ways that are blatantly make fun of. It's very important that you go through that as a
yes.
parent. Like,
The next time we do this, we should probably have an 8-year-old just sit here to identify it for us.
yes, as a fact checker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that. In lieu of that, nothing jumps out of
No.
Yeah.
top of my head.
I think
so.
Studholme just really.
Studholme's
I
a
think
great
it's just a
name.
good name.
Yeah. No.
Now it's a last name, of course, but I think it works in this case as a middle name.
Yes.
Well, in
Agreed.
this case, Garrett works as a first and middle name, so I mean,
That's true.
Studholme could easily work as a middle name here.
Okay, so maybe Alexander Studholme. All right, so we have two possibilities.
Already.
Yeah.
Wow, I am doing well in this mashup.
We're 10 minutes in?
I'm
and,
very proud of myself so far.
Remember, I'm saying these are possibilities.
Yeah, I'm not saying, but they're not being dismissed outright. I think it's good.
I say we pack up now. You've nailed it.
Oh, just wait. Just wait.
No, the real test is what the baby's name will end up being. And we were focusing on boys' names right now, but who's to say we don't know it's going to be a girl?
That's right. Well,
Well,
I got
you do.
I got 6 girls' names on the back, so don't
Are
sleep
you
on my
going to run
girls'
through
names.
all the boys first? And then
Yeah, we'll
switch
run
over?
through all the boys first, then
Okay.
we'll do the girls.
Cool.
So the next one. Now this one I think is partial to my heart because it involves one of my favorite prime ministers, of course. And this is the one where it gets a little silly. I'll just admit that I don't think you're going to enjoy this, but it combines famed U of T historian George Wrong and the Right Honorable Mackenzie Bowell. So of course it's Wrong Bowell Garrett.
Yeah, no. No. I'm not even going to
Well, see,
entertain
'cause
that.
as soon
Aaron?
as you mentioned your favorite prime minister, I knew you were going for the bowel movement. But the sheer fact that you linked it up with George Wrong makes it that much better. I say if you do not name your child Wrong
Bowell?
then there's no point in having a child.
Well, I think we need to also throw some context in here. Aaron, if you have a boy, what's the name that you picked out for the boy?
I'm not sharing that publicly.
Okay.
Oh, wow. Okay. So it's a good name.
Oh, it's brilliant. I mean, it's
If
very...
it's brilliant, we can share it publicly, but
No.
Okay, well, if you want to save it, you want to save it because it's clearly Wrong Bowel.
Oh, no,
clearly
wrong
what the
bowel.
name
Well,
is.
no, I mean, it's got to be wrong bowel now.
Yeah. Okay, so there's another combination with Wrong if you're off on Bowel, if Bowel is a non-starter.
I'm off on both.
For you.
But
Okay. All right, so if Bowel is out, let me try something else with Wrong.
I
not
think
even
wrong.
with wrong.
Okay.
Okay, so another one that I'm kind of partial to is really strong sounding name. It combines, actually I'll just tell you the name. Beamish Beers Garrett. Very alliterative, very powerful, that's strong.
I think we need to get some context as well.
Okay, so it's Beamish is a first name. It's Beamish Murdoch, who's a lawyer, politician, author, wrote The Epitome of Laws in Nova Scotia, so a prominent figure out in the East Coast, and George Beers, who's I'd never heard of George Beers before, but get this, founder of modern lacrosse, is largely credited with that. Also started the first journal of dentistry in Canada. And that's a mix that I never would have guessed.
Cross and dentistry. Well, actually, when you think about it, yeah, it makes sense.
Because you would lose teeth.
Oh, absolutely. You get knocked in the face,
Yeah.
and there goes your chiclets, and gotta fix those. Yeah, no, I can see that. Now, see, I'm in on beers. Again, it's very strong when you say beers.
Right.
Beamish, I'm out.
Beamish, you're out on beer?
I see Beamish as more of a last name, and
for me, immediately jumps into my mind. Beamish goes to Beavis and Butthead. Very dangerous on the playground. No, I understand.
Okay.
I'm referencing something from the early 1990s.
So probably not dangerous on the playground.
More than likely not. But every time if Jeremy said, "Hey, come over, Beamish and I are going out to do something," I'd be like, "Well, okay, so he's Beamish and your Butthead."
All right, well, what if we brought George Wrong back and we had wrong beers?
I don't think my kid would ever be able to drink beer after that.
Which is maybe it's a good thing for you.
Especially if absolutely terrible.
Especially if the reports are true that beer is actually killing us all slowly.
But enjoyably slowly.
All right, so
Next.
you're okay. So that's it. So Beamish and beers are out.
Yeah, those are out.
Those are out.
Yeah, no, that's
Okay,
out.
so I have one left then. We've gone through 5. So my last one on the male side. Let's see if you guys can guess this. I'll give you the 2 individuals.
Okay.
Don't cheat and look at my sheet here. But I have C.H. Punch Dickens, who was a bush pilot in the North, the First World War pilot as well. So
Okay.
one of our heroes, our military heroes, and Lester Bowles Pearson, of course, winner of the 1956 Nobel Peace Prize, former Prime Minister. You can guess what I've come up with for those 2 individuals.
Punch bowls.
Punch Bowles Garrett. Yes. Punch Bowles Garrett. This ensures that the kid will be invited to every party ever.
Yeah, no need for a nickname.
No, I think you need to have. Maybe this is a context where wrong works. Wrong punch bowls.
Wrong Punch Bowles Garrett.
I like it.
Yeah. Because it's a thing. It's like an actual thing. So it's like a noun on top of a noun.
Better than calling my kid Apple.
Right? So, okay. So Punch Bowles.
I'm still very much in favor of wrong bowel.
Yes, wrong bowel is definitely the strongest one on this list.
There's no doubt about
Zero
it.
doubt about that. All right, so if we were to recap on the men's side, so James Marquis in some form
Yep.
Some form.
Yeah.
is a potential option.
Yep.
Studholm as a middle name
Studholm as a middle name is a great
is
middle
in
name.
there
It is.
somewhere.
I even like the combo of Alexander Studholm.
Alexander Studholm,
it's still-
Garrett.
Well, it still brings in the historical aspect,
Oh,
but
yeah.
it's a strong name.
Absolutely
Okay.
it is.
And then Punch Bowls perhaps is like a fun option.
That's more towards the no.
Okay, but it wasn't straight out dismissed like the other 3. Decatur Boss, Wrong Bowel, and Beamish Beers were all dismissed out of hand. Punch Bowls was not dismissed out of hand.
No, it was not dismissed out of hand.
But now you're
Per se.
dismissing.
Yes.
It's now a no.
Okay, so we have 2 maybes on here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 2 possibilities.
The
Okay.
sheer fact that you came up with 2 maybes actually astounds me.
That's not bad, right? That's not bad.
I tip my hat to you.
Well, thank you very much. So those are my 6 on the men's side. So shall we move to the girls' names?
Yes.
Okay, so let's see what we got on the girls' side. This was a lot of fun on this side because I'm partial myself to names that are not in fashion as much anymore.
Okay. Which is actually a current trend that's going on.
Some of these older names are starting to come back a little bit. Yeah, and I'm a fan of them. So some of these are silly, some of these are fun. It's not completely unlike what I've just come up with. So for this one, let's start with a personal favorite of mine. Again, I will give you the two people before I give you the name on this one. So Bliss Carman, great first name, Bliss, who was a poet, famed Canadian poet, and Mary Meagher Southcott, who was a Newfoundland nursing leader prior to Newfoundland's joining Confederation. So, of course, with those two, I've come up with Meagher Bliss Garrett. Which, because you don't want to be too happy.
No, got to temper expectations right from birth.
Yeah.
Usually it takes a few years to have the crushing weight of reality on your shoulders.
Just
The poor
low
the
expectations.
poor girl would just be hit with it immediately.
But she's pretty much guaranteed to surpass any expectation. She will overachieve based on what her name is.
She will rise above her meager beginnings.
Exactly. Because now I'm reading all these plaque texts. That will say that when she is designated a national historic figure 40 years after her death, and I guess like 100 years after our deaths, the thing will say from meager beginnings, and the meager will be in quotes because whoever's writing it is being very cute and clever. Like, it just really works.
Pun intended.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. So we're good on that one, Meager Bliss?
I'm going to reserve judgment until I hear some of the other ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's fair. So let's go to maybe a more serious one then. This one, Cora, Parle, Garrett. Combining E. Cora Hind, a suffragette in Manitoba in the 19th century through to the 20th century, and Mary Irene Parle, who fought to place women in the Senate, to have them be members of the Senate. So you combine two women who were very active in women's rights, suffrage issues. Mm-hmm. You combine them together in a name that I kind of like. I like Cora as a name, and I think Parle as a middle name works.
Yeah, my cousin actually, her eldest daughter is named Cora.
Okay.
So that's a very, very great name.
Yeah, and I think the inspiration behind it for a young woman growing up now in the 21st century, where maybe some of these issues, yes, they still exist in terms of women's rights and things like equal pay and all these issues, and there's certainly a glass ceiling in politics to a certain degree now. But in general, the suffrage movement doesn't seem it's not as connected to us as maybe our parents' generation, our grandparents' generation. Yep. So here's a way to connect her to this history that, we just had the 100th anniversary of women getting the right to vote in this country, and here you go.
I mean, especially as we see more recently, numbers are dropping for elections.
Yeah.
People just aren't out there voting. So if we have someone out there rallying everyone once again, and not just focused on women, but saying, come on, everyone get out here, let's vote, bring back the energy of the suffragettes would be almost necessary.
And someone whose name, draws that connection to the suffragettes, would be a great person. Would certainly set a child up for a strong future.
I think so.
See, if there wasn't already a Cora in my family, I would say I would consider that. But because there already is one, I'm going to take a pass. But I think for Jeremy, it's a great
I would say that out of all the so now 8 that I've presented, this is the most serious one. This is the one that maybe I put the most thought into, is to have two women who are very much associated with suffrage and women's rights and activism together in a name that I just think also sounds good. So I'm partial to this one.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Okay.
Agreed.
All right. So that might be the best of the 8 I've presented, I think. Certainly that's the best reaction I've got so far. All right. So let's maybe move on to another one in a similar vein, but a little different. And this one I really like, Agnes Tilly Garrett. So this one, Agnes for Agnes MacPhail. I like the name Agnes for whatever reason. And this is the only man who I have on the women's side because I like the name Tilly. So Samuel Leonard Tilly, the New Brunswick father of Confederation. And I think Tilly as a name works as a female middle name. I just like the way that sounds. I like Agnes Tilly, the way it sounds. And what I kind of like about this too is that the connection between the two of them. So you have a father of Confederation where women were not involved in that process in an official way. Aaron and I, we've talked on the podcast before about the women's role at the conferences. But you have a father of Confederation and then the first woman elected to the House of Commons. So here's somebody who was instrumental in creating the system of government, and then a woman who comes in and sort of, to a certain degree, does something that probably Mr. Tilly did not expect to ever happen. So I kind of like that.
And I'm quite interested too with throwing him into the women's side when women weren't involved with the Confederation, and yet with Agnes being the first woman to be a member of Parliament. I mean, quite interesting. And I mean, I like the idea of Tilly. I think Tilly works quite well for a female name too. So,
as a first, would you consider Tilly as a first?
I'd even consider it as a first as well. Though I think it works much better as a middle name. I was
going to say I tried it as a first name. It didn't really work. My only problem with Agnes is I always think of The Simpsons and think of Agnes Skinner.
Oh, now I'm not going to be able to let that go.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
And that was my immediate hang-up. I mean, the name Agnes is a great name, but because it's associated with such a shrill character on The Simpsons, and shrill I mean by her voice, it just...
Okay, but you could have Agnes there and just use Tilly as almost a nickname.
So A. Tilly Garrett.
Sure.
Yeah, in that case.
Tilly Garrett. That kind of sounds strange, but okay. Whatever you want. All right, so let's go to maybe a less serious one now that I've had two serious ones. Now this one is not serious because of who they are. It's not serious just because the way I think it's formed. So I have Jenny Trout, who is the first licensed female doctor in the country, and Carrie Matilda Derrick, who was the first female full professor in this country, a female professor of genetics. So,
interesting.
So two very well-educated women who did amazing things in their professions. Male-dominated professions too, right? Mm-hmm. Women in science, even today, it's not an equal, not a balance there of men and women in the sciences. So for this one, maybe it sounds silly, but hear me out. Carrie Trout Garrett, because you like to fish, right? Have you ever been? You like to hunt, I know.
I like to hunt. I haven't been fishing in a while, but I'd love to get out fishing again.
You go trout fishing and you carry them back. I don't know. I'm getting the negative reactions
no.
here. We don't like that?
No.
The sciences.
It's the trout.
Yeah, the trout's really hanging it up.
What
smells fishy.
Okay. What about then Carrie Jen Garrett?
Carrie, yes.
Okay. But the problem then is because I don't think, one of the reasons I did this, one, I think, yes, Carrie Trout, fine, okay, fine. But I don't think you could have two names back to back that have that Y sound at the end. Because I think Carrie Jenny Trout. I don't think that sounds, and vice versa with Jenny Carrie Trout. I don't think.
No, I agree with you there.
That or Garrett, excuse me, doesn't really work all that well. So I was trying to figure out a way in which you could combine those two women.
Well, what
in the science, I think that's a nice inspiration for a name.
Yeah,
two prominent female scientists.
What were their full names? Do you have them?
So I just have Jenny Trout. This is how they're designated.
Okay, you don't have the middle names.
So, Carrie Matilda, if you want to go Jenny Matilda Garrett,
okay,
could work. Or Matilda Jenny, if you like Matilda more.
No, I think Matilda would be better as a middle name.
Yeah, I'm going to lean on the no side on any of these combinations. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm out.
I'm not opposed to Carrie as a first name, though.
Right. So maybe good inspiration, but maybe the execution not as great on that one. I mean, you have Derrick as the last name of Carrie Matilda. So I don't know. Derrick could work.
Derrick can absolutely work as a woman's
girl's woman's middle name, maybe.
Yeah.
Jenny Derrick.
No.
It could work. Personally, I wouldn't either. But it could work.
Okay, so good inspiration, poor execution on that one. All right.
Hey, I love the idea behind it. I mean, it's a great idea, a great merger of the two as well. But.
Okay, so let's go with another one. Let's go with Lillian Irma Garrett.
Lillian Irma.
Yeah, so that's based off of Lillian Bilski Freeman, a prominent philanthropist in this country, and Irma Levasseur, the pioneer of Canadian pediatrics.
Well, I mean, I already have a bit of a preference for not necessarily Lillian, but Lily, because it's one of the names that we had considered as well.
Right.
Not going to give away if it's a first or middle name, but yeah, I like the idea of Lily. Quite pretty as a flower as well. And now, what did you say the professions were for them?
So Lillian was a prominent philanthropist.
Okay.
So helping the people, giving the people what they want, as we try and do on the show, right? No, but a prominent philanthropist. And then Irma was a pioneer of Canadian pediatrics.
Okay. So trying to give people pediatrics then.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm hung up on Irma.
I am as well.
And here's the reason why. And
Okay.
this just really shows, and actually more speaks to my immaturity than anything else. There's a prominent meme out there about a very unfortunate picture of a woman who is all dressed up with braces and everything, and it's Irma Gerd. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
Yes.
So Irma to Irma Gerd.
Right.
It lends itself very much to it. Now, again, I may be the only person who is stupid enough to actually find those memes funny, but...
Yes, but 8-year-old kids, I mean, make fun of kids on the play yard, and they're going to think of any way that they can. So
Yeah.
who's to say that poster just doesn't show up around a classroom with...
I mean, we're in the internet age. I mean, memes never die.
They never die.
They
No.
just get recycled.
No, but let me throw this out at you. All right. So your daughter becomes a UFC fighter or a professional wrestler.
Okay.
Lil Irma. That's the name. That's the name that she comes out to, is Lil Irma, because it's not only her first name, but Lil. And it would be especially good if she gets your height, because you're approximately 18 feet tall. So it'd be this nice counter between like the irony of being called Lil.
No, see, because I'll keep always thinking to myself is Irma Gerd Lillian. Can't do it. I'm
Okay,
out.
so we're out on this.
I'm not...
You
opposed-
like Lily.
I like Lily.
But you're not as sold on Irma.
Definitely not.
Okay. What about Cora?
Cora Lily.
Yeah.
Or Lily Cora.
No, it'd have to be Cora Lily.
Yeah,
It'd
I
have
think
to
so,
be.
yeah. I
I
kind
just
of like
don't-
that.
I like it, but I don't know if those names really go well together. You need something that flows
You need a
nicely
good
as
flow.
well.
That's true. All right, so there's one left on the list here. Let me give it to you. If you wanted something that flows well together, this one. This is the
You know that you can just tell by your excitement. You've been saving this one for last.
Yeah, I have been saving this one for last. This one. Oh man, this is the pièce de résistance. This is the name of your child. I almost guarantee it. If I was in charge, this is the name. So let me just tell you who these people are first, and I'll see if you guys can guess what the name is. So first, it's Adelaide Hunter Hoodless, who is an advocate for domestic reform, and Fanny Bobby Rosenfeld, who was named the athlete of the first half of the 20th century, female athlete of the first half of the 20th century. She was a track star for Canada. So those are the two names. I don't know if you can see where I'm going with them.
I can see for the second one.
So the name is Fanny Hunter.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the name. The name is Fanny Hunter. Garrett, I love that name. I think it works so well. I'm so proud of myself.
See, I like the name Adelaide. Again, I know of an Adelaide, not directly in my life, but in the sphere of knowing people, and I think it's a great name. It's, a classic name, but then it also adds to, a name just Addie is a
Yeah.
good nickname. I mean, it just nice and shortens it down, very professional. Fanny, again, I mean, in proper context, absolutely.
It's an old name.
Yes.
Right, it's an old name.
Fanny Hunter, I'm out.
Again, that's another one that you could use if she's a professional wrestler. Fanny Hunter.
The issue is that, I mean, you've already made reference that I go hunting, but Fanny Hunter?
Yeah.
I mean...
It doesn't have to be a sexual thing.
Well, no, I'm thinking more with the hunter have to wear a fanny pack, in which case, no, just out. Just no.
Well, it's not a fanny pack, it's a satchel. It's a belt satchel. So that you can
You're reaching, my friend.
Yes,
You're
you
reaching.
So that you
really
can-
are.
carry things.
Okay,
Well,
so
okay,
I think you should-
so another one. Okay, Fanny Hunter. I think it's a horrible mistake if you don't name your child Fanny Hunter. If it's a boy, maybe not, but as a girl, sure. I also had Meager Hunter on here because we talked about Mary Meager Southcott earlier. Meager Hunter, if she's not good at it, right? If you try and teach her to hunt and she just doesn't have that skill set, then maybe that could work.
Maybe as a nickname. It just pops up later in life, Meager.
Meager, yeah.
Meager Trout.
Meager Trout, yeah. Bad fisher woman, maybe, I don't know.
Meager Bowel.
Meager Bowel, Garrett. I don't know.
Wrong meager bowel.
Yeah. Tilly Hunter.
I also see Hunter as a boy's name. I just don't picture it as a girl's name.
Yeah, and too much as a last name. I think I've
Yeah.
heard it too many times as a last name.
All right.
I've heard it as a first name, and I mean, not for me, but
Yeah.
Okay, so on the women's side, I think I did okay with Lily and Irma then, or Lily and Irma.
Lily.
And with Lily, yeah, but full names. And Agnes Tilly in some form.
Yes.
Some form.
There's something there. The other ones you all didn't seem to care for.
Your batting average wasn't so great on the women's side.
No, it's about the same for boys. 2 out of 5 and 2 out of 5.
Well, 6 each. There was 12, so 12 total. So out of
Yeah.
the 12 total, there were 4 names that were not dismissed out of hand.
No, that is true.
And I didn't think I would get that many.
Neither did I.
So, I mean, there was a few that I figured would probably get dismissed out of hand. Punch Bowls, I can't believe Punch Bowls was dismissed. That makes me so sad. Fanny Hunter is another one that should be there. So those are the names. So after a half hour of talking, how is your mind working now compared to when we started?
I mean, compared to when we started, I was quite interested to see that one of the names is actually one that we've considered, but some more consideration to possibly go in. I mean, who's to say that when our baby boy or girl is born, that it's not going to be Trout or Hunter or Wrong Bowel?
Wrong bell. Exactly.
I mean,
there's so many great possibilities here.
I almost think you can't pick one of these names now, because then Sean will hold this over your head for the rest of your life.
well, I would have to be on my
No.
deathbed
No.
and Sean to step in for that to happen. So
No, he would just, I don't know, that's too much credit to you.
No, it's not. I don't want credit. I really don't.
then you're
What I want is for this child to have a name that is both historically significant and inspirational. That's what I want. I'm looking out for the best interest of the child. That's what these 12 names were intended for.
Wrong Bowel.
Yeah, those are 2 very important people in this country's history,
Oh,
both of whom are largely forgotten. And as just a side benefit of that, if she or he decides to become a comedian, it's really worked in right there.
Oh, yeah.
It's already, you don't have to come up with a stage name. That's the stage name.
Yeah.
But
So-
well, I mean, 2 people who are largely forgotten, you combine their names in for Wrong Bowel and equals someone else who's just going to be equally forgotten. I don't want that for my child.
Well, no. Maybe it's like 2 negatives in math create a positive. It's like 2 people who have been largely forgotten create this ultra powerful figure. I will concede that if you name your child Wrong Bowel, they won't be the prime minister. I will grant you that. But anything else is possible.
Hey, lots of things can happen in 40 years, 50 years.
I think
Yeah.
if you name your child Wrong Bowel, we will get a names database like they have in, what is it, Norway or Sweden or Iceland, one of the 3.
Iceland has one.
Yeah, there's a name database.
Oh, yeah?
There's an acceptable name that you can choose, and it must be on this list.
Oh,
And it's
wow.
becoming more and more with all the different names
Right.
that are coming out.
Maybe we should have one in this country, and maybe that should be my job. Because I've clearly demonstrated that I'm good at this.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so ends your interview for the Central Name Database.
Yeah, that's actually what this was. It wasn't actually a podcast. It was an interview for that job. So, Jeremy, I'm going to gift you this list. I will highlight the ones that you did not dismiss out of hand. I would like you to show it to Susan, not to actually have a serious discussion about, but because I told her that I was doing this, so she can at least see what I've come up with.
Well,
She might get a chuckle out of some of these.
I think that you're going to have her listen to this podcast before I give her the list, too.
Okay, that's probably fair. Yeah, and if she makes it to the 38-minute mark, God bless her. So Jeremy, thank you very much. Congratulations.
Thank
we
you.
will update the audience when the child is born on what the actual name is, and hopefully one of these things actually makes it in as even a nickname if it's not on the birth certificate. Maybe as an informal middle name. Maybe.
Well, I mean, I've already given my hand a little bit with Lily. That would be a
Yes.
version of it entering it, but who's
Yes.
to say that it could also be a boy?
Yes, and I did come up with this list before I knew what any of your names were.
Okay.
Right, because
Yes.
we were going to record this earlier, so I came up with the list, and then you told me what the names were. So that was a completely blind name that I came up with. So good job by me, I guess.
Oh, no, great thinking.
All right, so congratulations.
Thank you.
All the best through the summer. The birth will be in September.
End of September.
So we're taking bets on when. Hopefully we can make some money off of this deal as well. But congratulations, and thank you for doing this and putting up with my nonsense.
Oh, I know. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on the show yet again.
Always a pleasure. Aaron, thanks for coming back.
Hey, I'm surprised you keep asking me back, but what can I say? I seem to always be available.
And that's the key to a good guest. The best ability is availability.
I'll take it.
And there you go. So thanks everyone for listening. I hope you enjoyed one of our more silly episodes. If you have any questions or comments for the show, historyslam@gmail.com. You can find me Twitter @Dr. Shawnee Fever. Aaron is @AaronBoys1.
That's correct.
I actually don't have Twitter. I am
Jeremy
not part
does
of the
not
Twitterverse.
have the Twitter. Sadly, we'll get you on there someday. We can get you on there
Someday soon.
And if you haven't yet, please do subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, wherever you get your podcasts. You can give us a like and a rating. Apparently that helps. So please do that if you haven't yet. And if you're out and you see Enrico Palazzo, please say hi for me.
Thanks for listening to the History Slam podcast. Be sure to check out Active History for more features, articles, and be sure to subscribe on iTunes.